So we need to figure out what angles 1, 2, and 3 are if these lines are parallel. And not only do we need to figure out what the angles are, but we need to explain how we figured it out. Okay, let's start with angle 1. How many degrees would angle 1 be? Okay, I got an answer from David. He thinks that the measure of angle 1, not David, Jonathan, sorry, would be 80 degrees. What do you guys think? Jonathan, what's your thinking on that one? Why do you think it's 80? Okay, because it's a cubed, alright, but is there something else that it's related to that helped you figure out that it was 80 and not 60 or 70? Those are all acute angles. Why 80? Joy? Because a straight line is 180 degrees, so those two angles are adjacent. They add up to 180 because they're a linear pair, right? Okay, so because adjacent angles equal 180, something like that. If you want to keep your answer really short, all you have to write really is adjacent. That's justifying the answer because it's adjacent to that angle, and so they add up to 180. Okay, next, angle 2. Andrew, you can go if you want. What's the measure of angle 2? Measure of angle 2. Here's how you can think about it. Figure out how it's either related to that angle or how it's related to that angle, and then remember that the lines are parallel and see if that helps you. Jacob? It is 100, and how did you figure it out? Same side interior with angle 1? Okay, so because it's, and I abbreviate stuff a lot, same side interior with angle 1, and so same side interior angles add up to 180, right? So if angle 1 is 80 degrees, then angle 2 is 100 degrees, so those two angles add up to 180. That's one way to do the problem. There's another way to justify it. Can anyone think of the other way to justify it? Joy? Okay, so because angle 2 is corresponding to the 100, it's corresponding to 100 degrees, so they are congruent, right? So the two ways you could answer this question would be same side interior with angle 1 or corresponding to angle 100. If you don't want to write all the other little details, you at the very least need to tell me what the angle pair is that makes that true. In your book, the way it says it is, name the postulate or theorem that proves your answer. So instead of actually writing out the postulates and theorems that we wrote out on your notes, all I need from you is the names of the angle pairs that apply. Okay? Alright, let's do the measure of angle 3. Who knows the measure of angle 3? DJ?
70? Maybe, I don't know. 90? I don't know. 80.
Okay, we have a definitive answer saying that they think angle 3 is 80. That is correct. Why?
Because angle 2 is 100.
Okay, so this line, his line of thinking was that angle 2 is 100 and angle 2 and 3 are adjacent. Adjacent to angle 2 means that they add up to 180, right? But there's another way you could do this problem. You could use alternate interior. Alternate interior to angle 1. So since it's adjacent to angle 2, that means those add up to 180. But since it's alternate interior to angle 1, that means those are congruent. So since angle 1 is 80, angle 3 is 80. Or this way, since angle 2 is 100, 180 minus 100 is 80. Right? Okay, next example. This one's tricky because it has an extra transversal in there. So it's tricky because you start looking at these numbers and wondering if they're related, or these numbers and thinking they're related. But you have to pay attention to which lines are actually parallel. And then I find this easiest if I actually cover up one of the transversals while I work with the other one. So you look at the transversals that might not be parallel, and you cover them up and work with it one at a time. Okay? So for example, if I want to find angle 1 first, I would ignore that part of my problem, so the 70 isn't part of it at all, and just look at that part. So what would the angle 1 be and why? What kind of angle pair is this? Same side interior. If the lines are parallel, which they are, how are same side interior angles related? Are they congruent or supplementary? They are supplementary. What does supplementary mean again? They add up to 180. Okay, so if this angle is 80 and they add up to 180, I take 180 degrees, I subtract 80, and that gives me the angle measure of angle 1 at 100 degrees. And the reason for that is because they are same side interior angles. And that's all you need to do to justify it. That's your postulate or your theorem. This one's a theorem. Theorems are a little bit different than postulates because they have to be proved. But somebody's already proved them for us. It's just that it's called a theorem instead of a postulate. Okay, the only one that's a postulate today is the corresponding angles. Okay. Now let's look at the next one. Remember, if you need to imagine, cover up the other half of it so it's not distracting you. So what is angle 2 going to be? If you're not sure, then start by figuring out what type of angle pair 2 and 70 are. How are they related? What type of angle pair is that? Okay? It would be 70, and why? Because they are alternate interior. Good. So this is the type of stuff you're going to be doing on your assignment today. And at this point, we have about 20 minutes to work. I'm going to let you work.